Hello and welcome to Dateline Lagos on Channels Television. I'm Ayotunde Balagum. Coming up on the program, Lagos State Government kicks off 2026 ministerial briefing with Ministry of Health unveiling new health financing, workforce and infrastructure reforms for the sector. Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget says 2026 budget of 4.44 trillion naira is deepening infrastructure and economic growth. And Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems says Lagos food hubs record 3.8 billion naira transactions. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, declared that mandatory health insurance and stronger public-private partnerships remain the cornerstone of its healthcare financing reforms as it moves to close an estimated 100 billion naira gap between current health sector funding and projected healthcare needs in the state. He made the comment at this year's ministerial briefing commemorating the 7th year of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration. Let's hear from him.
The Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, arrives at Alausa Ikeja for the 2026 ministerial briefing to give account of the achievements recorded in the last 1 year of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Kadri Hamzat-led administration. According to the statistics shared by Professor Abayomi, Nigeria has 40,000 doctors at a ratio of 1 doctor to 5,000 population, with an urgent need of 300,000 doctors, while Lagos requires an additional 40,000. In delivering better healthcare services, the Lagos State government is developing an ecosystem that can address biosecurity threats, enforce mandatory health insurance, and neutralize outbound medical tourism.
This is a huge number. And let me just say, for the record, that human resources for health shortage is a global phenomenon. It's not an Africa problem. It's not a Nigeria problem. It's not a Lagos problem. It is a global problem. It's a phenomenon. The problem is, however, that Europe and America are able to attract the doctors and nurses and professionals that we produce abroad because they seemingly have a better environment to work in. But things are changing fast. Lagos is narrowing that greener grass on the other side. The grass in Lagos is getting very green, and in fact, we're beginning to experience doctors that are coming back. We want to reduce brain drain, and we want to increase brain gain. So what is the strategy? Well, we need a healthcare financial reform that's critical because it's all about money. We need to improve the working conditions of our healthcare professionals. We need to improve the living conditions of our professionals and facilitate the return of those that have already drained out of the country. We are making sure that the health sector is robust enough to manage anything that comes our way, including biosecurity threats, such as we have seen with cholera, diphtheria, Lassa fever, COVID, flu, and so on. For us in health, we're able to deliver universal health care through a strategy called mandatory health insurance, and this covers a whole charade of activities. And number two, neutralizing outbound medical tourism. So we don't want any Lagosians to leave Lagos to obtain any form of healthcare abroad in Dubai, in London, South Africa, India. We want to be able to provide every kind of specialty and subspecialty to our citizens in Lagos, and in so doing, neutralizing outbound medical tourism and reversing it, in fact, and contributing to the GDP of Lagos, as happens in many parts of the world. Dubai, India are realizing billions and billions of dollars in terms of medical tourism, and Lagos wants to participate in that. And we are, at the moment, in terms of the city that provides the best healthcare in Africa, we're now at number 8 after Cape Town, Johannesburg, Morocco, Egypt, Nairobi. Lagos is now number 8, and we're hoping that over the next 5-10 years we can move up to at least somewhere in the top 3.
The state government is currently working towards establishing a University of Medicine to expand training of medical professionals.
His Excellency has given us the approval to establish the standalone University of Medicine and Health Sciences. And this is a collaboration between the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Tertiary Education, the Attorney General, Ministry of Environment and Physical Planning and Urban Development. And the strategy here is, typically we've been training our professionals in the green circle, which is our tertiary hospitals. But we have the yellow, the red, and the blue. These are huge assets that Lagos has in terms of general hospitals, PHCs, and in fact, private sector hospitals, military security facilities, and many, many diasporians abroad who want to participate in delivering healthcare to Lagosians. So what we're going to do is we're going to decentralize the training of our healthcare professionals from the green circle through the yellow to the red to the blue, which means that we will have access to a very large number of patients. So for example, in our general hospitals, we see year in, year out about 7 million patients a year. And in our primary healthcare facilities, we see about 13 million. So when you add 7 to 13, you're talking about 20 million patients in the public health sector alone in Lagos. That is enough to train thousands and thousands of medical professionals, because medical professionals are like apprentices. They need patients to learn. Doctors and nurses learn by the bedside. They learn in the clinics. They learn in the theaters. And if you don't have patients, you can't make professionals. But Lagos has millions of patients. And so it's an asset for us that we must capitalize on to become the center of medical professional development in Africa.
The blueprint for medical infrastructure transformation is also top priority for the government in ensuring that healthcare facilities are well maintained.
There are many assets to this. It's all about design, patient experience, maintenance, and energy, which were not incorporated into the facilities that we have at the moment. So we've built in sustainable concepts utilizing design technology from all over the world, collaborating with Lagos architects to develop what we describe as our green blueprint designs for the future of Lagos. We've looked at sunshine, we've looked at renewable energy, we've looked at ventilation and the movement of the sun, and we've designed our new facilities over the past 4 years to be able to incorporate what we call sustainable renewable designs. And these are some of the attributes, including solar technology. Now, if you look at this chart, you will see that on the right is the average hospital that is not built with renewable configuration, and it costs us 158 million naira to power a non-renewable energy hospital. Whereas our green hospitals, which are the future, the cost of powering those hospitals drops from 158 million to 61 million, which is a 96 million naira saving on energy. And as the cost of energy keeps rising, this is a significant development for us. Now, in the primary healthcare sector, we've developed 3 prototypes: the small, the medium, and the large. And here's the large. It's a very impressive structure. It took us 3 years to develop this design. It has an outer fenestrated sleeve with a roof, a false roof, and inside this fenestrated architecture is the PHC. And you can see there that our waiting rooms are not inside rooms, they are outside, so that we reduce the opportunity for infection transmission between people who are coming to access health. So our waiting rooms are in these outside corridors. Although it's covered and protected from the environment, it is ventilated and protects our patients.
The Lagos State government believes that the ongoing infrastructure modernization in the health sector would help address shortage of medical professionals. Government also encouraged residents to report any form of irregularity that threatens the safety of patients to the Health Facility Monitoring and Accreditation Agency to ensure healthcare standards across the state.
From health to the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. The State Commissioner, Mr. Okpe George, said the 2026 budget of shared prosperity signed into law by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is strategically structured to strengthen infrastructure sustainability, economic diversification, institutional reforms, and inclusive social development across Lagos State.
It's the turn of the Lagos State Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget to reel out the achievement made in the last 1 year and also give an account of how the 2026 budget has been spent so far across board. The ministry, led by Mr. Okpe George, disclosed that out of the 4.44 trillion naira budget for 2026, a total of 1.467 trillion naira was earmarked for critical infrastructure projects, including road projects such as the Ojota-Okpebi Link Bridge, healthcare development, housing projects, education, and public works.
We've ensured that throughout the whole process and throughout the whole various departments of the ministry, we've tried to ensure that we've sustained public sector performance, which we've depended heavily on being able to have an adaptable workforce. We've ensured that we've invested in our workforce within MEPB. During the period under review, the ministry has invested heavily in technical capacity development, increased our digital competence, our leadership training, and institutional learning programs across all various departments that has helped us strengthen our implementation processes. The budget comprises mostly of it's about a 53 to 47% capital to recurrent ratio. So about 2.338 trillion on capital expenditure and 2.106 trillion on our recurrent expenditure. So again, it touches into the various aspects of our agenda, infrastructure, sustainability. We have over 1.4 trillion, I believe, was earmarked for infrastructural projects, diversification in the economy, so food security, and over 87 billion, tourism infrastructure, over 35, energy, and various institutional reforms. So, once we're a ministry that we work with all the MDAs and all the agencies and we cut across all the various sectors, it's important for us to be able to be responsive and be able to also help and be able to sort of react and be very adaptive. So, which is why we're very happy with the work that has gone on within all these various departments over the last year in review. There's an impact. You can see what has gone into it, and indeed, it is one of the sort of iconic projects. In terms of how it affects the economy, it's going to help obviously ease of doing business a lot better, property appreciation, commercial expansion around that area. Those will be all positive effects. We also have effects in things like construction or completion of various housing units, projects like the 504 units Lagos Homes in Shango-Tedo in phase 2. Also, completion of strategic roads around the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway area. Unlocking investment that goes into the areas like the free trade zone. So there are various aspects of the budget that we can touch on. Our food and logistics hub as well. The fact that the middle markets have been developed, and so there are key aspects of the budget that has gone into each and every one of these areas. As I said, it's not a list that I can go through exhaustively, but within the breakdown, we're happy to give you a full list and a full impact of how the budget has touched various aspects of our states. And also
on budget performance, the Commissioner says the state recorded 84% budget performance in the 2025 fiscal year and hopeful of a 60 to 70% for the first quarter 2026.
For us, the first quarter of this year, we typically find that for the last couple of years, we've been about the 60 to 64% in terms of our first quarter performance, but that's always what happens, and that's always how it is, because within the first quarter, things are typically slow, but things normally pick up and ramp up. So again, this year, we're quite optimistic that we'll be able to hit our 80, 84, 85, possibly 90% performance in terms of our budget performance for this year. So we've ensured that so far our projections look good, our projections look stable, But I think one of the benefits also for us is that we are also very adaptive, and we also have these reviews regularly where if we see that things are not going the way we want them to be, or we have various shocks, we can quickly adopt and find a way to sort of mitigate against these circumstances. So that's where we find ourselves with that on that question.
The Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget says it remains committed to sustaining prudent fiscal management, strengthening economic resilience, and implementing people-oriented policies that will continue to position Lagos as a smart, globally competitive, and economically prosperous state.
Lagosians, it is no news that the present administration of Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu delivered projects in different sectors of the economy through the themes agenda. With this success in mind, the second term of the present administration has included social inclusion, gender equality, and the affairs of youths in its agenda. Now, we have the themes plus agenda. With this, no one is left behind on account of their social status, gender, or age. Lagosians, be prepared for another 4 years of a total revamp in all sectors. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, àjùmọ̀ṣe ni o.
Now to food security, and this time the Lagos State Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Systems, Abisola Olusoya, has announced that the first phase of largest food logistics hub in sub-Saharan Africa will be commissioned before the end of the year. Speaking at the annual briefing, Abisola Olusoya disclosed that the Food Hub initiative recorded transactions worth over 3.8 billion naira in the last 1 year. Take a look.
Achieving food security in Lagos State is a major task, a responsibility the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems is taking seriously. The 2026 Ministerial Press Briefing provides an opportunity for the State Commissioner in charge, Abisola Olusoya, to share the progress, impact, and strategic direction of the ministry in building a comprehensive food systems that not only provides food security, but that which also suits Lagos residents.
Under Governor Sanwo-Olu's leadership, Lagos State has shown that food security goes beyond production. It means building a comprehensive food system in which food is produced efficiently, transported safely, stored properly, processed competitively, traded transparently, and made accessible to households at stable, affordable prices. And with consistent investment and guidance from the governor, these strategic pillars are being translated into tangible achievements across 6 key areas. The first is in training, capacity building, and human capital development. In the past, we reported that over 100,500 farmers and fishermen had been trained in modern agricultural practices, enhancing productivity and livelihoods. I am, however, pleased to announce that an additional 25,300 farmers, fisher folk, processors, livestock operators, coconut value chain actors, rice farmers, market operators, youth, women, and agribusiness owners have been trained in the year under review. And the training programs implemented include the Lagos Agripreneurship Program, LAP, which supports young people with knowledge in modern agriculture, exposing them to poultry, piggery, aquaculture, crop production, agribusiness management, and value addition. Under the year in review, the ministry has trained over 1,500 youth. The second training program is the Lagos Agric Scholars Program, LASP, which is designed to deepen agricultural interest among secondary school students across public and private schools in Lagos State. Beyond classroom teaching, LASP is exposing students to practical agriculture, school farming, teamwork, innovation, and agribusiness thinking. The third training program is the Lagos State Butchers Academy, an initiative designed to revolutionize the red meat value chain by training butchers in global best practices for hygiene, safety, and modern processing. And the academy is a key part of the ministry's strategic initiative to sanitize the meat industry and attract a younger generation to a profession traditionally seen as being for the unenlightened.
Huge investment is also going into agricultural infrastructure development with the ongoing construction of the Lagos Central Food Systems and Logistics Hub in Ekpe, set to be commissioned later in the year. The commissioner also confirms that the state government is not only prioritizing food production, but also connects farms to markets and markets to consumers.
Lagos State has continued to prioritize infrastructure that not only supports production, but also connects farms to markets and markets to consumers. And under the infrastructural development agenda, we have number one, the Lagos Rice Mill at Imota, which was commissioned in 2023 and is the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest globally. Occupying 8.5 hectares, it has the capacity to produce 2.4 million 50 kilo bags of rice annually, creating 1,500 direct jobs and over 250,000 indirect jobs. In 2025, we continue to optimize operations and deepen partnerships with smallholder rice farmers across the country to maximize utilization of this landmark asset. To boost paddy production, the ministry has cultivated a 100-hectare rice field at Egua, provided input support to local rice farmers, and launched the Eco-Fortified Rice, a nutritionally enhanced version of Eco Rice, in late 2025 to combat widespread malnutrition and micronutrient deficiencies, especially amongst children. We also have the Lagos Central Food Systems and Logistics Hub at Ekpe, and this hub in Ketu Erenyo Ekpe remains the flagship infrastructure project of this administration in the agriculture and food systems sector. Conceived as a modern, data-driven and technology-enabled food logistics platform, the hub is designed to transform how food enters, moves through, and is distributed across Lagos State. Upon full completion, the hub is expected to become the largest food logistics hub in sub-Saharan Africa. It is designed to service over 1,500 40-ton trucks daily and support the storage, processing, aggregation, and distribution of over 1.5 million metric tons of food annually. I'm pleased to inform you that the first phase of the Lagos Central Food System Security Systems and Logistics Hub is scheduled for commissioning this year. We also have the Lagos State Middle-Level Agro-Produce Hubs. I'm delighted to report that from May 2025 till date, the hub has reported an additional 1.2 billion naira in transaction volumes from 76 market days, with over 850 vendors registered, generating over 7,000 direct and indirect employment. The Fresh Food Hub at Idioro Mushin has already demonstrated the value of structured market infrastructure by improving food aggregation, supporting direct farmer-to-market linkages, creating jobs, and enabling better produce handling. The long-term plan is to establish similar hubs across strategic locations in the state. We'll be launching the hubs at Agege and subsequently Okpebi in the next couple of months, and also we have started the construction of the hubs at Bombata areas and will be commencing with the Ikorodu.
The Produce for Lagos initiative and the 500 billion naira off-take guarantee fund launched by Governor Sanwo-Olu in July last year is also addressing food supply chain in terms of logistics, processing, and market financing.
The Produce for Lagos program stands as a flagship intervention addressing a core challenge. While Lagos is a vast food market, its food supply has long been fragmented, informal, and susceptible to disruptions. And Produce for Lagos is therefore a strategic framework for organizing production, aggregation, logistics, processing, financing, and market access around Lagos's real demand. At the center of this initiative is the Offtake Guarantee Fund, which is designed to de-risk agricultural investment and build confidence among farmers, producers, processors, aggregators, logistics operators, financiers, and investors. It assures producers that there's a structured market for their output and investors that Lagos is serious about building a reliable, organized food economy. And to stimulate the next generation of food champions, we had in 2025 the Eco Flavors program. We had both the junior and the senior edition. We believe that this program also successfully bridges the gap between agriculture and the plate. And by elevating the profile of young chefs and focusing on the affordability of local ingredients, the program reinforces the Lagos State government's commitment to youth development and food sustainability. And the success story of this project lies in the fact that participants have moved on to establish culinary businesses and transition from job seekers before the competition to business owners. Lagos remains one of the strongest agribusiness investment destinations in Africa. The state has the population, the market size, policy direction, infrastructure, investor interest, and political commitment required to support large-scale food systems investment. Priority opportunities exist in aquaculture, poultry, red meat, rice, coconut, horticulture, feed production, processing, packaging, cold chain logistics, commodity trading, mechanization, greenhouse farming, digital agriculture, food hubs, and food retail. With the Lagos Central Food Systems and Logistics Hub approaching first phase commissioning, the expansion of the middle-level hubs, the implementation of the Produce for Lagos program, the 500 billion naira offtake guarantee fund, the Lagos Aquaculture Center of Excellence, RAMP, which is the Rural Road Development, and the agri-innovation ecosystem, Lagos is creating the infrastructure and policy environment for serious investors to participate in the future of food.
With the positive results achieved so far, the Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems believes a lot still needs to be done to strengthen food security, reduce post-harvest losses, and stabilize food supply across the state.
And that's the program for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Remember, be the best you can, obey all state laws, and most importantly, wherever you are, whatever you do, please live a healthy life. Till next time, it's bye for now.